So the Game Awards was last Thursday, and a lot of big games were announced. One of which was a brand new IP from Naughty Dog called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. And well, there's a lot of people out there that are not very happy about it. And I'm going to tell you why. But before I do that, please do us a huge favor here on the domain GPCE, which stands for Gaming, Pop Culture, and Entertainment. Please do us a solid and subscribe to us here. We cover video games, movies, TV shows, pro wrestling, and more. So do us a solid once again and subscribe and like the video and let us know your thoughts on what I'm about to talk about down in the comments below. So, Naughty Dog had teased that they had a brand new game to show off at the Game Awards, and they did, called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. And like I said, a lot of people are really upset about it. And the people that are upset about it, well, it's really, really silly. So I'm going to show you guys a article from Forbes that is going to talk about exactly what I'm referring to. So this Forbes article is done by Eric Kane. They're a senior contributor, and he says he writes about TV shows, or they write about TV shows, movies, video games, entertainment, and culture. Says Naughty Dog's new game Intergalactic stirs up controversy with Concord comparisons. So for those who don't know, Concord is a game that came out this year, and it was controversial, I guess. People said it looked a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, myself included. A lot of people said the game was woke because of how the characters looked, which I think is kind of strange. I didn't find any issues with the design or look at the characters. It was the gameplay that was just what was bad, and that's why that game failed, because the gameplay was terrible. I don't think it had anything to do at all with how characters look. So what you're seeing here is the main character of the game right there. And she appears to be an Asian woman with a shaved head, and that is the design of the character. So it says here that, given it's the first Naughty Dog game announced in years, it isn't a remaster, remake, or sequel, which I do believe surprised a ton of us. I know there was a lot of us out there who anticipated it being possibly The Last of Us Part 3 or another Last of Us title. Now, the PlayStation version of this trailer has 587,000 views, whereas Naughty Dog's trailer has 449 views. And apparently this game is, as Forbes says here, getting ratioed in terms of likes and dislikes, with it having more dislikes on both videos than likes. Some people are making fun of the game, saying it's so old we need a remaster. I feel like Will Smith will slap me for making fun of her because she has a shaved head, etc., etc. Someone also said somehow Concord returned. People are saying mostly it's the character design for the game's lead, Jordan A. Munn, who was played by Hati Gabrielle. She was in the series You. She was also one of the villains in Uncharted, and apparently she's going to be in the season 2 of The Last of Us on HBO. It says here critics of the trailer have called her character design too woke and likened it to the recent Sony failure at Concord, which bombed so hard it was taken offline 2 weeks after it launched. The game's failure can't entirely be blamed on woke character design. And as I said a minute ago, this game cannot be... Concord had nothing to do with the characters' woke designs. I think the characters look great. I thought the models were fine. I just think it tried too hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy mixed in with a hero shooter, and it just didn't work. It was a terrible gameplay all the way around, and it was absolutely bad. And I think if you didn't like the game because of just the character designs alone, or you think it's because it was woke, that's a really horrible way to rate and review a game. Now, Eric in this article says that they very intently dislike Jordan's character design, although I'm not sure if it's simple as saying it's overly, quote, woke, though she does certainly look a lot like Lev from The Last of Us 2. I think it's odd, first of all, that the character is so much less attractive. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Less attractive. I want to know, why does it matter how attractive a character is in a video game? I've played games almost my entire life, and I've never found a attraction level to a character, because they're fictional character, especially in a video game, a 3D rendered character. I've personally never cared about how attractive a character is. That's never been something that I've used as a means to review a game. And I want to make something very clear here on the Domain GPC. We're never going to review a game, or we're never going to take into consideration a character's looks, whether that be based off of their sexual identity, their orientation, their gender, things like that. We're not going to review a game based on those things. We're not going to review a game and give a game a low rating because whether or not we think a character is ugly. Looks are perceptive. Um, perception is doesn't really matter all that much when it comes to character design, especially when we're talking about characters that look human. I think it's weird when there's people out there that say, "Oh, a game like Stellar Blade sold really well because the character was overly sexualized in nature or in appearance, or maybe looked attractive to some." I don't buy video games. I don't play video games based off of how attractive or attracted I may be to a character. I also don't purchase video games based on whether or not I find them sexually attractive, because I think that's absolutely cringy and weird. And there are a lot of people out there who do, and I find that to be a very, very sad and yet toxic thing for people to rate games on. This game has only a 4 minute and some odd second trailer. And that wasn't enough for me to really have one opinion or another on. I am kind of excited that it's a new IP from Naughty Dog because, as the article says, we haven't had a new IP from them in a very long time. I love games that are set in space. People are calling this Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think is funny that I guess now any game that takes place in space, has a crew, and has a ship is now suddenly Guardians of the Galaxy, because we're going to pretend like there's never been anything else that has had a crew and a ship like Alien, Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Andromeda, and many other things that also are set in space, have a ship, and have a crew. Also, we're going to pretend like Ripley from Aliens never had a shaved head. I don't recall anybody having a problem with that, by the way, and I don't recall anybody having so much of a problem with that they didn't like the movie because of her looks. The problem is that there are a lot of incels online who maybe have some issues getting with women, who knows, who don't like the way a woman looks in a game, and they're going to judge it because of that. I don't know why people are calling this game woke. I didn't know having a shaved head meant that you're woke. Maybe I'm woke. I have a shaved head. Would you not like me as the main character of a video game? I also wonder, do women do this? I was asking my friend, Josh, here on the Domain. Do women do this about men? Do women that are gamers, do they not like a game because a guy doesn't have a six pack? Do they not like a game because a guy might be perceived as ugly? I don't know. I find it to be a very sad state of the gaming industry when gamers are getting this toxic about the look and appearance of a character and judging an entire video game based upon one's looks. That sounds very vain if you think about it. And it sounds very awful. And also, it might be a little bit of projection too, coming from those who, well, do this sort of thing. I mean, I don't care whether or not how attractive the characters in my video games look, because when I rate and review video games, I review them based on the story, the graphics, the gameplay, and the music. I don't review them because of how ugly or attractive or how sexy a character looks. I think that sounds even weird to say that, a sexy character. I don't review games, and neither should anybody else. I think games can be great no matter how a character looks outside of it all. But if we're getting down to the wire, we're going to automatically assume the game is woke. And so what if a game is woke? There have been plenty of successful games out there that are woke, that feature characters that are various ethnicities, sexual identities, and more, such as Baldur's Gate 3, who won Game of the Year last year, which, by the way, when I bring that up, nobody seems to argue that point, that have all won Game of the Year and have been great games. But when you bring that up, no one says anything. So I want to know, how is it that a woman, an Asian woman at that's in the game, that has a shaved head in a 4.5 second trailer, how does that prove anything? Other than the fact that this is a game we don't know much about, we haven't actually seen any core gameplay of, we don't really know how the gameplay is going to look, and go from there, but we're already saying the game is woke and it's going to suck. I highly doubt this game is going to suck. I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it's not going to suck because of how a character looks. The game's not going to be good because of the game play because of the plot, because of the story, not because of how a character looks, whether their gender, their race, what have you. That's not why games suck. Games suck because they are not well written, they don't have good gameplay, and it has nothing to do with the appearance or any characteristics personally of a character. And I think that this is an idea that needs to go away in the video game industry. I can imagine being a developer of a game and you have all these vivid ideas and you want your game to be diverse and full of characters and not just one representation, but you want to try to represent as many people as you possibly can. Because listen, video games aren't, they're inherently going to be tied to something in reality. You can't say there's going to be something that you're going to play that has literally no ties to reality. I mean, video game characters, most of them speak English. That's tied to reality. Some of them speak a language that we don't know about. That's the fictional part. At the end of the day, video games are going to have some touch of reality in them, whether you like it or not. And yes, there are people outside your bubble in your world that are different from you. There are gay people, there are trans people, there are people of different ethnicities, and yes, there are even people with shaved heads, such as myself. And at the end of the day, all of those people deserve to have representation in the video games that they also play and enjoy. Because I can tell you right now, if a person's trans, they probably don't want to just play as a straight white male in every single video game they play. They probably would like to have some representation because guess what? That's life. And that, my friends, is reality. So at the end of the day, I don't know if this game's going to be good. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be, but it won't have anything to do with a woman having a shaved head. And if you think that's why the game is bad, then you need to do some serious self-reflection. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Once again, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video.